Let's begin with the prayer. Heavenly Father,
Lord Krishna, very much. Shine for us on the sanctuary of our religion. To awaken that in our heart.
Now begin with chanting. For true human wisdom means recognizing the pathway out of religion and toward the light of truth. Divine wisdom is omniscience itself. In such wisdom, there is no shadow of sorrow, only bliss absolute, bliss infinite, and bliss eternal. Let's affirm together, first loudly and then gradually in the whisper. As I learn the lessons that life teaches me, I grow toward ever greater joy and freedom. Now slightly softly. As I learn the lessons that life teaches me, I grow toward ever greater joy and freedom. Now whispering only, as I learn the lessons that life teaches me, I grow toward ever greater joy and freedom. And now mentally only, as I learn the lessons that I teach, I grow toward ever greater joy and freedom. And the prayer for this, grateful Lord for every blessing sent me. Each time I stumble, help me to learn. Each time my human weakness makes me fall, help me to grow strong. May I realize behind every pain, like calm, reassuring wisdom. Now we're reading from the whisper from eternity. It's reading as my Guru. Thou light of my life, thou camest to spread wisdom's glow over the path of my soul. Centuries of darkness dissolved before the shaft of thy luminous help. As a naughty baby, I cried for my mother divine, and she came to me as my Guru, Swami Shri. At that meeting, O my Guru, a spark flew from thee, and the faggots of my God craving gathered to incarnations, smoldered and blazed with the bliss. All my questions have been answered with thy flaming golden touch. Eternal, ever-present satisfaction has come to me through thy glory. My Guru, the voice of God, I found thee in response to my soul cries. Slumbers of sorrow are gone, and I am awake in bliss. If all the gods are displeased, yet thou art peace, I am safe in the fortress of thy pleasure. And if all the gods protect me behind the patterns of their blessings, yet I receive not thy benediction. I am an orphan left to find spiritually the ruins of thy displeasure. O Guru, thou didst bring me out of the bottomless pit of darkness into the paradise of peace. Our souls met after years of waiting. They trembled with an omnipresent will. We met here because we had met before. Together we will fly to the shores where we will smash our planes of finding you forever and vanish into infinite light. I bow to thee as the spoken voice of silent God. I bow to thee as the divine door which leads to our salvation. I bow to thee, thy master Lehri Mahashay, a bringer of yoga in Banaras. I lay the flowers of my devotion at the feet of Babaji, a supreme master. We now start with now listen to audio by Swami Ananda reading a meeting between Babaji and between him and Yukteswarji after Yukteswarji had taken Mahasamadhi. So I want to check it.
I'm glad to find you alone this morning. I just arrived at the Bangalore Hermitage, carrying a fragrant burden of fruit and roses. The Yukteswar glanced at me. What is your question? Master looked about the room as though he were seeking a cave. Guruji, I came to you as a high school youth. Now I am a grown man, even with a gray hair or two. Though you have showered me with kind affection from the first hour to this, you realize that once only on the day of meeting have you ever said, I love you? I looked at him pleadingly. Master lowered his gaze. Ananda, must I bring off into the cold realms of speech, the warm sentiments best guarded by a wordless heart? Guruji, I know you love me, but my mortal ears ache to hear you say so. Yes, you would. During my married life, I often yearned for a son to train in the yogic path. But when you came into my life, I was thinking, in you, I have found my son. Two clear teardrops fills your beautiful eyes. Yogananda, I love you always. Entered my passport to heaven, I felt a weight lift from my heart. Dissolved forever his word. Often had I wondered it, realizing that he was unemotional and self-contained. Yet sometimes I feared I had been unsuccessful in fully satisfying him. His was a strange nature, never utterly to be known. A nature deep and still, unfathomable to the outer world, whose
Everyone, it's a very special day today as we're celebrating or remembering Swami Shri Yukteswarji, who was basically a guru, a param guru, who is a param guru, and the guru of Paramahansa Yogananda. Yogananda ji often said that his natural temperament was that of being devotional, that he was naturally very devotional in nature. And being with Sri Yukteswarji or attuning to the nature of Sri Yukteswarji, he experienced no diminution of his own natural inclination or devotion towards God. In fact, he said that it increased his devotion towards God. And that is a mark of a true guru, that he is able to work with the disciples and natural inclinations of those disciples. Swami Shri Yukteswar was born as Priyanath Karar in 1855 to a very wealthy businessman. His father passed away very early, and therefore he had to shoulder a lot of responsibilities at a very tender age of just 10 or 12 years. Swami Shri Yukteswar was very intelligent. He was always curious to dissect reality, and he was very good at mathematics. One of his disciples recounted that Swami Shri Yukteswar has never scored, he doesn't remember that he has scored anything other than 100 out of 100 mathematics. So, and that was his inclination. He had a very scientific orientation, and he was interested in the West. Swami Shri Yukteswar is an example for us of a householder. He was married once, his wife passed away. Then he was married second time, and his second wife passed away. Then he had a daughter who also eventually passed away. And he also, during this phase of being a householder, he had met Lahiri Mahashay through his friends, both Swamis, who used to practice Kriya secretly. And somehow he got introduced to Lahiri Mahashay, who initiated him into Kriya Yoga. And Yukteswarji diligently followed the practice of Kriya. In 1894, Lahiri Mahashay suggested Swami Sri Yukteswarji to visit Kumbh Mela. At this point, Sri Yukteswarji was 39 years old. And when he visited Kumbh Mela, he happened to meet Mahavatar Babaji. Babaji addressed him as Swamiji for the very first time he met Sri Yukteswar. And Sri Yukteswar said, "I'm not a Swami." And to which Babaji said, "To those who I am divinely directed to bestow the title of Swami, do not cast it away." And this was the initiation of Swami Yukteswar and Swami Border. In this meeting, Babaji told him two things. He said, "You are going to play a very important role. You have a role to play the harmonious exchange of Orient and Occident." And he said that he will send, like Babaji will send Yukteswarji a disciple to train which is basically Master Yogananda, who would then go and disseminate these teachings to the West. And the second thing Babaji asked Yukteswar to do is, will you not write a book about the unifying nature of Hindu and Christian scripture? And thus, Yukteswarji started writing his book, Kaivalyam Darshana, which means, Kaivalyam means the essence, or basically realizing or being one with the eternal substance God. And Darshanam is philosophy. Now, in higher ages, or in those days, or at least from where he came, there is no such thing as philosophy. Everything is experience. So Kaivalya Darshanam is basically experiencing God, right? And it is actually a very thin book. I have this book, and it's these days is commonly known as the Holy Science. It is full of a lot of things, a lot of stuff. And one of the things we know that what Yukteswarji said in the book is, you cannot take a single step on the spiritual path without developing the natural love of the heart. Now let us try to understand this a little bit. What he means that basically, firstly, when we enter the spiritual path, we need to find a guru for ourselves. When we have that inclination, we need to find a guru, a sadguru, who will help us to the spiritual path. And secondly, we need to have the courage to follow his teachings. But along with that, the process, and his teachings meaning practicing kriya, following what he's asked us to do and all of that. But along with that, so that we need to be able to get rid of the meannesses of the heart. Now he said that there are 8 meannesses of the heart. I don't misquote him. So the 8 meannesses of the heart is hatred, shame, fear, greed, condemnation, race prejudice, pride of family, and smugness. Now you notice that the meannesses of the heart are not anger or jealousy or greed. Why is that? Because when we say anger or jealousy, it's a reactive process to something. It is something outside of us. But all the meannesses of the heart that he talks about is basically a state of mind that we have to work upon. When we say developing a natural love of the heart, it is similar to purifying the heart. In the Bible, it says, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." And it's the same as saying, "Yoga chitta vritti nirod." All these, you can draw a parallel between all these 3 sentences, right? And so he said that as we overcome the meannesses of the heart, we develop what he uses a term called Shraddha. And he says that we will develop magnanimity or generosity of the heart. And as we develop this magnanimity, we will be able to A, perceive the finer truths, and B, we will be able to be fit for self-realization, we'll be able to be fit to practice asana, pranayama, pratyahara, and so on. And when he says develop, now the natural love of the heart is something that is already there. All we have to do is we're trying to unfold it layer by layer. But we're not creating this love. It's already there. When we get rid of the needlessness of the heart, when we try and attune ourselves, we we move on to the next stage of perceiving these realities. Now, the book Holy Science is actually written in the background of yugas. I'm not going to get into the yoga theory, but basically, we all know that yoga, Viteshwarji said that we are in Dwapara Yuga, which means we're in ascending Dwapara Yuga, and which means in this age, mankind will be more aware of the internal electricities. Use the word electricity. Or basically, we are now, moving away from materialism, and we want to focus more inward and raise that inward energy. And this is what we do when we practicing Kriya Yoga. He says every age needs to have a sadhana routine, right? And so for this age, the actual routine that is given to us by all these masters is Kriya Yoga. So it is the technique of Dwapara Yoga. It is the technique to be able to evolve in Dwapara Yoga. He says that basically awareness of individuals can be, basically increases or decreases, and this increase or decrease happens in form of cycles, right? So we at this stage, we are trying to increase our awareness of internal energy to the practice of death. And he says that as we purify our heart and as we use viraya, he uses the word viraya, which means moral courage or the courage to practice these teachings, we then slowly, go towards what is called as a steady heart in Dwapara Yuga. And this helps us to cut off our focus from external, going external, reactive, and outward energy, in the sense of being engaged with materialism, but it helps us to evolve internally. And then he goes on and talks about different stages of the hearts. He talks about different lokas and yugas and aishwaryas and so on. So that's very complicated for a human intellect to understand. And that is exactly what he's written as well in the book at some point. He says that he's not really spoken a lot about Krita Yuga, which is basically the yuga of magnetism, because a human intellect is not, it's not advanced enough to grasp the subtleties of magnetism. But having said this, what fascinates me about this book is that whenever we start a journey, we need to have a map, we need to have a destination. This is where we are going. And without adding any frills, Sri Yukteswarji gives us this roadmap. This is the stages of evolution, and this is the final goal and the procedure to achieve that goal, right? And then as disciples, what can we do? We are in Dwapara Yuga. And okay, we are not in Satya Yuga, which is the most evolved and cleanest hearted. General state of the mind of every individual is to have a clean heart. But what we can do, what the Guru has asked us to do, which is practicing yoga and practicing his teachings and purifying the heart. Secondly, he says that as we evolve spiritually, the quality of Dwapara Yuga is that we kind of start, we want to be able to stay with people who are like-minded. Or he says that the most common or the most natural way of living in Dwapara Yuga is that of being in communities. And therefore, what Yoganandaji said, practice Kriya Yoga and live in communities is the natural way of living in this age. There is a lot of emphasis, he says, Yukteswarji says that we are kind of lost or we are not in touch with the natural way of living. Basically, he says the diet that we eat. He gives an example of observation of the teeth. He says that carnivorous animals have the teeth that are designed for cutting, and herbivorous animals have teeth that are designed for grinding, whereas we have teeth that are designed for natural diets such as fruits. He says fruitarian diet, and then vegetables and grains and milk part of the diet and roots. And he says that that is a natural way of living. A natural way of habitat is basically to be in an outdoors, in the nature like we are here, and this outside having fresh air, and not actually be living in the cities that we do. But basically, he talks about that slowly that we unfold a natural way of being, and that's how we cooperate with grace, and we help our gurus to take us closer to God. And the masters, because they gave we talk about all these great masters, Yogananda Ji, Sri Krishna, the Hare Master, they are the way showers of Dwapara Yuga. They are not ordinary wise souls who are like good to listen to, but they are actually people who have who are here to show you the way to emancipation or the final freedom. And Yukteswar ji has passed away, but then has he really passed away? In Autobiography of a Yogi, there is a chapter on resurrection of Yukteswar ji. And this happened in Bombay, Mumbai. And Yogananda ji saw him after Mahasamadhi, and he was very astonished. And Yukteswar said that I have created this body to cosmic atoms, and it looked exactly like his real body. And he went on to describe the different qualities of astral planes and different qualities of causal planes. And he says that right now he's in Hiranyaloka, helping souls there to get rid of the cycles of rebirth of astral planes. So basically, these masters are still there. I think, at some point towards the end of the chapter, Yogananda ji asked him that I am struck by these that are not there with us anymore. And Yukteswar ji said, am I really not there with you anymore? Because he was standing right in front. Yogananda ji said that he was not the only person that Yukteswar ji appeared after Mahasamadhi. There was another woman, he would call her Ma, and Yukteswar ji would talk to her every morning after her walk. And that day, again, this was 1 week after the passing of Sri Yukteswar ji, Ma visited the hermitage. And one of Yukteswar ji's disciples said, but he's pathretic, going the spot of Mahasamadhi. And she said, but I spoke to him today morning, and we spoke in the broad daylight for 10 minutes. So, but he said that's not possible, because she said that definitely, he appeared to her in the same way that he appeared to Paramahansa Yogananda ji, and he was able to show that he was able to transcend this mortal being. So Swami Sri Yukteswar is therefore always with us, even though he is not in this same form anymore. And all we can do is practice his teachings and practice what he's come on earth and come to us, and basically try to be more and more in tune with. So now I will close with a quote that Yukteswar ji, or basically some words that Yukteswar ji would always say to his to those who came to him. And there would be sometimes, some of his disciples, some people would express doubt in his teachings or their own worth of doing this, meditation or teaching, following the teaching. And to that, Sri Yukteswar said, forget the past, the vanished lives of all men are dark with many shame. Human conduct is ever unreliable until anchored in the divine. Everything in the future will improve if you're making a spiritual effort now. And then at some point he also says, saintliness is not dullness. Divine perceptions are not incapacitating. The active expression of virtues gives rise to the keenest intelligence. Something for us to meditate on. And then I'm going to close with this song, O Master, closing this very blessed week of Mahasamadhi. We had Mahasamadhi of Yogananda ji and Mukteshwar ji last week. And this song is dedicated to our Master. Let's rub our hands, repeat 20 times. Then we will send out 3 ohms.